Oh, hello there, gentle viewers. You just caught me reading a good book. Oof. I love good books, don't you? Let's just start this review. Hello, gentle viewers, and welcome to another episode of Alistair Reviews It. Today I'm going to be doing a non-spoilery review of The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. So first I want to say that the first time I read this, 3.5 stars. The second time, 5 stars. I'm going to tell you why. But first, I want to talk about the synopsis. So I'm going to read it from the back. My name is Quoth. I have stolen princesses back from the sleeping barrel kings. I burned down the town of Treeborn. I have spent the night with Felurian and left with both my sanity and my life. I was expelled from the university at a younger age than most people are allowed in. I tread paths by moonlight that others fear to speak of during the day. I have talked to gods, loved women, and written songs that make the minstrels weep. You may have heard of me. So begins a tale unequaled in fantasy literature. The story of a hero told in his own voice. It is a tale of sorrow, a tale of survival, a tale of one man's search for meaning in his universe, and how that search and the indomitable will that drove it gave birth to a legend. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll put it there. So the first time I read it, I remember giving it 3.5 stars, and the second time I changed my rating. I read it a while ago because it's always one of those big recommended books out there, especially for epic fantasy. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna love it, and I didn't. And I think I didn't love it because the description gives you so much. It's like, oh my gosh, this description is amazing, and I really want to read it, but you don't get everything that's in the description. And I think that kind of hurt my reading experience of it because I kept on expecting things to happen, and they didn't, and I immediately got disappointed because that overview is an overview for 3 books, not the first book. I don't know why they put it on the first book, but that's what they put it on. It's on the first book. The second time I read it, I was in Afghanistan, and it was the only book that was around. So I was like, I liked it enough the first time. Let's go ahead and reread it. And so I picked it up. I started reading it, and I loved it. I fell absolutely in love with it because this time I came in knowing that I wasn't going to get the expectations that they had set for me in the description, and I didn't think of it as an epic fantasy series. I thought about it as a story that's just set in a fantasy world, and I loved it. I fell in love with Quoth, him going through his own journey, um, him going to school, him going on his brief adventures with people, and the characters that come out of this book, and everything just being woven together very beautifully by Patrick Rothfuss, and I liked Quoth because he was unlike a lot of other fantasy protagonists, where wasn't constantly in a struggle to be good, to be moral. Like he wanted to be good, right? But he wasn't always, the morality police that you see in a lot of other fantasy books. And you can tell that he was a hungry character. He was hungry for power. He was hungry for knowledge. He was just hungry to be the best that he could be, to be the best musician, to be the best with working the magic systems in this book, and to be the most knowledgeable that he can be. Meanwhile, it's very interesting because you're seeing him in the perspective of somebody who cannot afford to go to school, and he has to come up with his own tuition, and you see him go through that, and there's a lot of layers to this book, a lot of different layers. It's like a tiramisu of a book where you have the overall plot that's happening and then a lot of subplots throughout the book. I think it would actually make a really good, like miniseries on HBO just because of the subplots that he goes through. I think one of my favorite parts of this book, and I don't think it's a spoiler, but it's just him trying to find out how to make money. And I'm always about making money, and I always think that a lot of fantasy books don't talk about money enough. I know I'm reading one in particular right now that a person in the group keeps on giving out gold for everything, and I'm like, where is this money coming from? How do you even have this money? How is this being replenished? What is your kind of economy? And a lot of times I think that fantasy authors kind of purposely leave out the economy when they talk about their fantasy worlds, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, the economy is a huge portion of what your world is going to be about. And I think another author that I think that actually delves into this very well, the economy portion of their fantastical world, is Kirsten Britton with her Green Rider, series, because she actually goes into it and talks about textiles and different markets in her world and how they all operate within each other, and how during different times, different periods during her series, you know, people aren't making money or they need to make concessions.
So I'm editing this video right now, and I just want to input that uh, I know people have been asking what kind of kick-ass fantasy books have kick-ass females in them, and I want to say Green Rider is one of those books. I might do a review of hers too. I think that she's definitely a underappreciated author.
And I think that this takes that macro sense of the economy and applies it and applies it into a micro sense of focusing on Quoth himself and how he's going to use his talents and how he's going to use his abilities to be able to make enough money to go to school and accomplish everything that he wants to accomplish. So I thought that was very interesting, and it's something that I think a lot of other fantasies kind of miss out on. I also read the Wise Man's Fear. I'm not doing a review on it right now. If I do a review on it, then I'm going to do a spoiler review for just both books at once, especially since we're still waiting for The Doors of Stone, his third and final book, to come out. And I'm pretty sure the whole fantasy community at large has been looking forward to this book for a long time, over 10 years. And I know that I talked to somebody in the book publishing industry, and I know that as of last year, he still hadn't turned in a manuscript for the last book. But I want to say that I am patiently waiting for this book to come out. I'm not going to beg for the book to come out. I'm just patiently waiting. I don't want him to rush it if he doesn't feel like he's going to come out with the best book that he can come out with, because I think a lot of times either authors feel rushed to come out with a book, or they just feel like their writing sounds tired. Maybe they didn't have a break, or the writing just sounds tired. They themselves just want to end the series as soon as possible, and that's something that I do not want to have into this, because so far I think Patrick Rothfuss has very lovingly built up these two books, these two incredible fantasy books, and I want the third one to rival, if not be much better than these last two. And I want more books from him, honestly. So I'm hoping that, and this might sound bad, but I'm hoping that during this pandemic, some good things come out of it, and maybe one of those things can be The Doors of Stone. So let me know if you've read it. Let me know if you're gonna read it and what you think. Please like, follow, subscribe. I think there's a bell now that you can click on, and it'll give you notifications. Do all that jazz, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, gentle viewers. Adios.